To be honest with you, I've been sitting here for a couple minutes just wondering where I should even start with this, and I'm still not even entirely sure. I just kind of went over some talking points in my head, but I guess for a team or a franchise, organization, what have you, we're known for, or not necessarily known for, but like infamous for bad decisions and just things not going their way. Like, where does this rank? Where does Sunday rank for you? It could be near the top. If you want to put it at the top, I can't really argue with you. At least in terms of, like, in the past, 17 or 18 seasons. It's got to be at the top. Since Flutie Johnson, that type of thing, is this, like, the most puzzling decision, or just, like, the most holy moly that didn't go their way? Come up with another example. I'll listen to them all. I'm just suggesting that if you want to put this at the top, that I can't disagree with you. So, obviously, you know what happened. The Bills wanted to play the Chargers in LA. They wanted to start their rookie quarterback. They wanted to be like, hey, we need more out of this passing game. When we get behind, like we have in the past couple games, we need to be able to come back. And Tyrod Taylor's a nice guy, and he's talented and has some unique abilities, but when we're getting down, he's just not bringing us back, and he's just not sparking the offense like we had hoped. And so let's start this Peterman kid. We think he's ready, and poof. Just an absolute poof. Obviously, he threw 5 interceptions, 3 in the first quarter. Not that the first one was his fault, but I looked at a couple of the other ones. I mean, the one he threw on the out route is totally his fault. The last one he threw over Thompson's head, that's Thompson like running to the sticks, turning around, and he airmailed it over his head. The second one looked like, he had all that room to step up in the pocket, and he just let Bosa and Ingram just meet at the quarterback. Just step up. There was all that space there. I mean, I could go over them all. It doesn't really matter. It basically boils down to the decision blowing up in Sean McDermott's face, and that sucks. It sucks for the fans. It sucks for him, I'm assuming, because this is the game, or this could be the game that you look at and be like, or the half even, that you look at and be like, that's where it all went wrong for the Bills in 2017. Like, if they miss, like, they're heading for the literal worst case scenario, right? What was the things that we talked about in the preseason and whatnot? They look like another 7-9 type of team. That's what we sort of talked about, and like here we are, 5-5 for like the 4th straight year, and the 5th out of the last 7 seasons. 5-5 appear to just be like not necessarily limping to, but like on our way on the 8-8, 7-9 train. Because you look at the rest of their games, 3 winnable for sure, 3 are winnable, 3 not so winnable, and in a year where it looks like 9-7 might get you into the playoffs, probably does get you into the playoffs as a 6th seed in the AFC. You look back at this decision to start Peterman, and this is where it all blew up in your face, and this is what fans I think are going to remember. They're going to look back. It's going to be like, it might even be the Peterman year, unless he plays again. Remember that year we started Peterman and missed the playoffs by 1 game? Praying that doesn't happen. Absolutely praying that doesn't happen. And, I'm getting sick, honestly, just thinking about it. Just thinking about that happening. Missing by 1 game. Like, Baltimore's not good, but they might go 4-2 down the stretch, finish 9-7. We don't know what Tennessee is. Are they good? Are they a playoff team? Who knows? You have to play Miami. Like, San Diego could go on a run, maybe. Like, it's just an ultimate colossal fail right now. And like I said in my video earlier last week, like, it's just the timing of it is weird. Do you do this when you're 5-4, a little bit before Thanksgiving? Like, do you risk, I believe I used the word dismantling. Do you risk dismantling your season because you think Nathan Peterman's ready, and then it turns out he's completely unprepared not ready for the position you put him in, and that is a coaching fail. And you know what? Sean McDermott has had press conferences since, and you don't. Who cares if he doesn't admit to it? I'm sure he knows. He doesn't have to tell you. That's what I mean. I even brought this up in the video last week. He doesn't have to tell you the truth in the media. Like last week, he's like, "This is what we think is we're going to put our football team in the best position to win," and then he comes out and announces this week that Tyrod Taylor's going to start, and he's like, "It matters for this football team right now." It's basically the same thing that he said last week. But who cares? Like you can call him out on Twitter for things like that and whatever all you want, but it doesn't matter. He's not obligated to tell the truth in the media. He's just obligated to do the media thing, and he doesn't need to call out his guys. Maybe he waited until Wednesday to announce Tyrod as the starter because he didn't want to be like, on Monday, be like, well, obviously I'm starting Tyrod. Like, you guys saw that half. You might respect him more if he did that. You don't have to do that, but he doesn't need to call out his rookie quarterback in the media like that. But I understand where you might, he doesn't want to just go out there and be like, obviously. Like, who do you think I'm starting? Doofus. To the media, you know what I mean. You saw how that first half went. Obviously I have to play Tyrod Taylor. I can't justify myself to this locker room or by not playing him. Or the league apparently, because I mean he was like Peterman was like the joke of the league this past week, or at least at about 5:00 p.m. Like holy moly, Eastern Standard Time, 5:00. Nathan Peterman was the butt of every joke on NFL Twitter, and subsequently so was Sean McDermott, and so were the Bills. Because of the decision they made. They got former players calling them out, players across the league calling them out, retweeting Tyrod Taylor stats, and like the whole point like was to like sort of prove them wrong, like that you're educated on this Peterman guy and that you have confidence in him playing, and then he just goes out there and just sets himself on fire. But regardless of all that, regardless of heading for the worst case scenario with the quarterback, and I guess the last thing I'll say about the quarterback, it's like, clearly Tyrod Taylor wasn't your guy, so why did we stick with him in the first place? Because you didn't have a better idea. Well, you're now angling yourself towards, like, maybe you did think you had a playoff team, I get that, but like, now you're angling yourself, or aiming yourself towards not good enough for the top rewards in the top picks in the draft. You know, like I said, the top rewards there. Not good enough to make the playoffs. You're in the hunt, and that's what's another thing that definitely sort of bothered me was they talk about in the hunt. Like I've heard McCoy talk about McDermott and whatever. Like the players talk about in the hunt. Like that's appealing to us as fans, and not that they have to be fully aware of what's going on with us. Or, you know, they only been there. McCoy's been there 3 years. McDermott's been there 10 months. Like, they have to be aware of the 17-year thing. And the Bills have been in the hunt at Thanksgiving. I mean, probably 14 out of 17 years, maybe 12 or 14 out of these 17 years. It's insane. And it's just, I can't really think of the word I'm looking for. It's just not, we just don't want to hear that. We're just not trying to hear that. And I get what they're trying to say, like, hey, we're focusing on the Chiefs. It's right in front of us. We could still make the playoffs. And it's like, yeah, you can. But when you make a decision like you did on this past week by starting Peterman, your credibility comes into question. And I mean, maybe, hey, one mistake. You made a mistake. Okay, you know what? Fine. Tyrod Taylor's the starting quarterback now. You can put that's put to rest. So go ahead and the Chiefs this week. Go ahead and beat the Chiefs. You say you're focused on the Chiefs, so let's focus on the Chiefs. And you know they got their problem. They have problems of their own. And basically, the point I was alluding to earlier was like, if you can't stop anybody, like you can say whatever you want about Peterman and whatever. If you can't stop anybody, like they're not going to playoffs. Like the fact that they allowed 54 points, 47 points, 34 points to the Jets, like 101 points in 2 games, 136, or is that correct? 135, which is exactly 45 points per game allowed over the last 3 games. Like, come on. If you're not stopping anybody, they're not winning anyway. So, I mean, when they're mathematically eliminated, they should go back to Peterman, and maybe they will. Anyways, the Chiefs this week, like I said, they've had problems of their own. They were 5-0. Now they're 6-4. So something's got to get right here. I don't know if it's going to be the Chiefs' offense, who scored just 9 points against the Giants last week. They've had a couple unimpressive weeks. They had the bye the week before that. Andy Reid, coming off the bye, lets his team score 9 points on the road against the Giants. That's pretty surprising to me. They got beat by Dallas the week before that, 28-17. They won at home against division rival Denver the week before that, but Denver is just a dumpster fire at quarterback, and they have their own problem there. But they have a Super Bowl a couple years ago, so John Elway has a little bit more legs there. They lost on the last play to the Raiders on Thursday Night Football. They also lost at home to the Steelers. They're losing. They're not terrible teams. Like Pittsburgh's 8-2. Oakland is a division rival. They won on the last play after 2 penalties, on the last couple plays to extend the game. They lost to Dallas in Dallas. I don't think that's a terrible loss. But they're not right now. I guess that's what I was saying. They're not right now. They're doing okay on offense. They're still, I believe, 7th. I have that number here, but here we are again with it locking up on me. They're 7th in points for, 6th in total yards, 14th in points allowed, 28th in total yards on defense, 29th against the run. So here's a game. Let's get right. Let's run the ball. LaShawn McCoy was the lone bright spot of the Bills last week. 13 carries, 114 yards, scored 2 touchdowns. 1 was receiving. The last couple weeks, the Chiefs have allowed 112, 131, 177 yards rushing. There's only 1 game this year they haven't allowed 100 yards rushing total. And that was the win against Oakland, who won 31-30. It was just slinging it everywhere. They had 505 total yards. They just didn't get to 100 in rushing. So, you know who their heavy hitters are. Alex Smith is the quarterback, doesn't really turn the ball over. Kareem Hunt is the running back. Travis Kelce the tight end. Tyreek Hill. Bang, bang. They have super good players there. And honestly, I don't really understand why the Bills don't run very similar plays. I may have brought this up in a video before, but risk-averse quarterback who can escape with his legs a little bit. Dynamic running back that's a dual threat. Big tight end that can catch and run. Matchup problem for anybody. Now they don't have the speed demon at receiver like Tyreek Hill, but why don't McDermott, Andy Reid, you guys have history. Why is this not a thing? Why I don't know. Not that maybe you don't want to be like them lately, because the league appears to sort of be figuring them out. I guess I don't know if I want to use that term, figuring them out, but maybe it's just because they only use those guys. I'm looking at it right now. Kareem Hunt does average 87 yards rushing a game. A lot of that came at the beginning of the year. He averages 4 targets per game in the passing game. Tyreek Hill averages 6. Travis Kelce averages 8. They're going to try that read, that option, whatever, the zone read run, and the shuffle pass to Kelce. They try it literally every single game. Doesn't always work. It led to an interception against the Giants because Kelce got just drilled because the Giants read it, probably seen it. Everyone else in their passing game averages 2 or less targets per game. Right around 2. So, the ball is going to. You don't necessarily know on which given play, obviously, but it's Kelce, it's Hill, and it's Hunt. And I honestly, I just can't pick the Bills to win this game because they haven't, until they prove to me they can stop somebody. Even then, maybe they will even stop somebody. But then, Alex Smith will be don't have anywhere to go with the ball, but he'll escape with his legs for first downs and stuff. And them being at home, they need a get-right game to get to 7-4. The Bills need to get-right game. They keep talking about it, but look, just the proof. The proof is so far in the pudding. I think you have to prove to me that you're gonna stop somebody before I can believe in you. And I don't know if Kelvin Benjamin's going to play or Jordan Matthews. Figures with Kelvin Benjamin, right? We finally get a good play, a real passing play from Peterman to Benjamin. He gets hurt on it, whatever. Anyway, I'm going to pick the Chiefs to beat the Bills 31-23. Sure, let's go with that. I think the Bills will be in it. I think they will be in it, but I don't think they'll win it. I don't think they're going to get blown out, is what I'm saying. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think. Hit me up on Twitter. Twitter handles, same as my YouTube username. Have a good weekend. As always, go Bills.